So is this the Leafs' year to finally overcome their demons and make it past the first round? They've won their second OT in a row. I mean, the Tampa Bay Lightning, I mean, they kind of blew it, right? Like, they kind of blew it there. I mean, not real kind of, but they really did blow it. But Leafs also turned it up. I think a lot of people may want to just like harp on the Lightning blowing the 4-1 lead. And look, it is bad. Yes, it's bad. You blow a 4-1 lead. You got Vasilevsky in net. I mean, these guys are multiple Stanley Cup champion winners. You got John Cooper behind the net or behind the bench. No excuse for blowing a 4-1 lead. Maybe, right? But I think you got to also give Leafs credit for fighting back here and how they've been this entire season. Now, look, I'm a Devils fan. I don't enjoy hearing the Leafs fans gloat and talk about how they're first and they're up there in the division and all that stuff, and they're gonna, it's different this year and blah blah blah. I'm still, look, until the series is done, until it's actually 4 games won and you're moving on, it ain't over till it's over, right? This shit ain't over till it's over. But I do think that this Leafs team does look different. I think that they have, when they're playing at their best, at least, right? I think when they're playing at their best and when they're playing the way they want to, they're really, really good, like really good. And they're a team that has, I don't know, like that it factor, I guess. You look at them and you watch them play and they're solid. They battle. They don't win on, like, it's not just a one-line team, right? And it's not just a one-dimensional team. I think that they're a team that has the ability to make it past this first round relative to years past. I think that it's interesting to see how they're going to do. I also think Samsonov, he made the saves he needed to. I think, just looking at it from a goalie perspective, there's still like there's still some holes in his game. I think the way I look at his play is, he's a really solid goalie, and he plays his angles well, straight on shots, and even when he can kind of scramble a little bit, he's got that athleticism to him. But what I think that the way Lightning can beat him is when they move him side to side, right? Every time he goes side to side, especially when the puck's a little further out, he's always butterfly sliding. He's always on his knees and butterfly sliding across, and that kind of opens up either shots up top. There was one of the goals that I think in that the last game when they came back, but it was the 4th goal, I believe, where he kind of was off his angle a little bit, but there was some traffic in front, but he kind of came across, and then he was in the butterfly, and the guy I forgot who it was, but the Leafs shot him glove side, and he didn't even move and react because he couldn't. I don't think he really saw it, maybe, or it was a little off his ankle. But I think also give him credit for sticking with it. I think also give the Leafs credit for starting him, right? You had the option to play the younger goalie there they got with Wall, I believe, but they stuck with Samsonov. I know this entire season it's been a little bit of a carousel, a little bit with Murray and him, but he's stepped up in a way that the Leafs needed the most relative to years past too, was that goaltending, right? And I think he's just played good enough to give them the win. And at the end, it doesn't matter how you can win 10-9, you can win 5-1, it doesn't matter, but you got to get that win, and he's done that so far. I think production wise from Nylander, Marner, Riley, a couple others there, it's great to see that, and that's, I think in the years past that was lacking a little bit, like Marner, right? I think the stat line on him was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like 8 goals or something in 40 games of playoffs or something like that, but just a lot of really little production in the amount of playoff games that he's been in. But so far, I think in this playoffs series, he's been a factor. And I don't think also being a factor has to mean goals and assists and all that stuff, or points, really. Sometimes it's in the things that don't show up in the stat sheet, the ability to block passing lanes, to block good opportunities, to generate good opportunities for your team, things like that. Those are all part of it, right? And so the Leafs have been able to do that. But I think, for me, hands down, for the Leafs side anyway, Austin Matthews is the guy, has been the guy in this series that has kind of stepped up to the plate the most. He's showing his ability that, how good he is to take control of the game when he does, like when he decides to, or when he gets those opportunities to. It's pretty great to watch this, American hockey player just really take control in the way that he has been. He's, I feel like over the years he kind of gets overlooked, and people scoff at, oh, well, he's not that, all these first round exits, and he should have done this, and he hasn't been that. It's like, man, he's still a really, really, really good player. I think, on the top echelon of the players in the league. It's just that so much pressure being part of the Leafs media, Leafs fans, and I think sometimes the narrative can get to be skewed in a negative direction just because of the lack of playoff success about who he is as an individual player. But I think he's really, really good. And he's been leading this Leafs team. And I think on the other side of it, right, I think Vasilevsky has been someone people have looked to. Oh, he has to step up, and he's not been as sharp in years past. And I think, yeah, in some ways he's maybe not. He's not like stealing games like he did in the cup winning runs or whatever, but I don't think he's been terrible, right? I don't think there's been goals where, I think the only aspect of his game that I think sometimes you kind of need to stop here and there are the goals that come in from like far out, right? Like there's the one where they came back from 4-1. There was I can't remember if it was a tying goal or whatever, but it's like basically a shot from the point. Granted, can't see it, a lot of bodies and all that kind of stuff, but it's more of those shots that come from the outside that you would like to get a stop from Vasilevsky there. I mean, the ones in the scrambles in front, and the ones where it's just really being like bang bang plays, it's those are going to go in. Those are good goals. But I think the ones you want to see Vasilevsky get a good handle on, being as big as he is and having the good vision that he has, you want to see those shots from outside really get dialed in a little bit. But I just think overall with the Lightning, and I haven't followed with them as much as I probably should have this season, but I feel like this season has been a really grueling one for them. A bunch of ups and downs just in terms of personnel, and I think they've gone on a little bit of slump sometimes in the middle season, and then they go back up and they go a little bit down, I think. And also too, I don't think you can also count up the fact that and I know that it's like maybe out of left field to say this, but sometimes burnout, right? I think they've been, if you think about just how deep they've made it into the playoffs year after year over the past 4 or 5 years, they have been really just through it, right? I mean, and you got a couple of people coming from injuries and things like that. It's not easy to be as consistent as they have been really over the past couple years here. But you know what though? Like, we can all say that, all right, the Leafs are up, the series and this and that, but man, Lightning, like I said, until it's 4 games won and then you're moving on, it ain't over, right? It's not over. I'm still very cautious about counting the Lightning out. I don't think that, and also people talk about the Leafs overcoming this 4-1 deficit as if it's somehow like it erases the memories of that Boston loss. Like, my thing is, no, like the difference between, the Leafs haven't won the playoffs yet, or the playoff series yet, right? It does erase that feeling to a certain extent, but I think if you're trying to compare the two, like Boston won that series, right? So this one, Leafs haven't won yet. Who's to say, like, what if Lightning come back from being down in the series and they come back now and win it, right? Like, is anyone going to talk about them coming back from the 4-1 game? No, right? So I think that game was awesome. I think it was such a good turning point, just in terms of like erasing those bad memories of being down, but doesn't really change the fact that this is still a 4-game series and they haven't won that 4th game. But they might run with it. I think just the way that they're playing, it looks like they can, but we'll see, right? We'll see how much the Lightning have in them. Again, they're never a team to count out, so it should be a fun matchup to see go finish that one off.